So it's time for internal CSS 3.11. Really cool because all of a sudden, once you start using internal style sheets, and I'll open up the student workspace so you can see it. Once you start using internal style sheets really light up what the page does. So let's take a look at what I mean by that. Right here, we're going to take a look at this web page, and it's hello world. It's fairly boring, but then I gave you this thing here called sample.html. It's got all this extra stuff in it, a style tag. It's all of you'll notice up in the head. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'll go up here and I'll call up sample.html, right? And look what we have. We have a blue header, we have red text, we have a table with lines and padding and all kinds of interesting stuff. So let's take a look at what's going on in there. Right here you have H1 says color dark blue. So every time I use an H1, it will come in dark blue. Just to prove that point, I'll go in and I'll add a second heading. I'll go in here and I'll say, H1, right? And I'll add it and say, okay, sample second title, all right? I'll put in a slash H1, right? Pretty straightforward. Then as I do that, sample second title still carries the blue. And if I change it up here to dark green, for example, all right, once I do that, now all of the H1s get a dark green. So everything that goes in this style at the top of the page is going to maintain for all H1s. So if I go dark blue, every time I use an H1 for dark blue, I get that dark blue color. All right, so right here I changed it back to dark blue. I'm gonna get rid of the second tile because it doesn't really make any sense, but you get the idea. And what it does is you put in, let me show you how this works actually. I created a little thing for you here called internal CSS, and it shows you how internal CSS works. How internal CSS works is it takes the same formatting that we used when we did styles before, where you used to put into the tag style equals quote blah blah blah, right? So we used to do it for inline styling. When you're doing internal CSS, you're styling for the whole page. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the top in between the head tags, and every page, remember, has the head tags, right? You have head and you have slash head right here. And in between those, you put in you put in the title. The title still works the same, but you put in a style. And style lives between style and slash style. And everything you put in goes in a certain way. So I can go in here and I can go in H2, and I'm going to use a curly brace, all right? Curly brace is next to the P. You have to hit shift to use it. Now you'll notice that it puts it in like that. I always hit return, and I'm going to do text align. I'll use text align center colon. Now, when I do that, that's a perfectly valid text, and you'll see that it actually, for neatness sake, takes all my H2s and it breaks them out like this with the line breaks. That's just a neatness thing. It makes it easier to say, okay, H2, this is where I'm going to go put in text align center, and I can even add a color. I can do all kinds of things to it, where I'm going to color. I haven't seen pink. So I'll throw in pink and see what it does in pink. So now if I use an H2, it should show me pink. Well, I don't have any H2 tags, so I'll add some H2 tags. I'll go down to here and I'll type in an H2, right? And I'll call it, this is my sample heading 2, and I'll do a slash H2, just like we're supposed to, right? So now theoretically, I should see something that is text aligned center. So it should be aligned center, and the color should be pink, and it should be under 3 ways to use CSS styles. What do I get? There it is. It's pink. It's in the middle of the page, and it's an H2, which means it's smaller than H1, just like we expected it to be. All right. So your style works like that. If you go to MrTush.com, I'll take that out because it doesn't always make a lot of sense, right? So I'm going to go remove all that. And I'm going to pull off this mess right here with the H2 because I don't want to give that away, as I want you to have your own style. I want you to be original. So what you're going to do today is you are going to use content from one or more of your pages, right? So use the content from any number of your pages for your index page. Create an internal style sheet. So you're going to have to build your internal CSS style sheet here. So you can delete that. And you're going to put in your internal style sheet, all right? And then you're going to add 5 commands, H's and P's, and you can use body. You can do all kinds of things to make that happen. You have, under HTML styles, you have that link right here. You can play with things like background color and text color, all right? All of that is in there. Sorry, this is not one of the ones. The style guide, got some other ideas for ways that you can do it right in here. Really? We're going to have some internet problems right now. Isn't that fascinating? All right, so you're getting the general idea. All of a sudden, the internet has decided to not work. That's an interesting problem. All right, so while we wait for the internet to come back, I will just finish up by telling you that when you go to mrtush.com, you see that this is how you set up your style sheet. You add the style bracket, and then right here, I'm using body. So here, if I put in background color powder blue and I put it in the body tag, then everything you see will have the background color of powder blue. And for that page, it will be a powder blue page. You can put a different inline style on a different page, so that can be a green page. You can change your background color. You can change any of the tags on it to play with it on item by item. Eventually, next class, I will show you how to do this for your entire website. And the next step forward is so small, you'll be blown away. But in the meantime, oh, there we go. The website came back. Here are some examples of things to do and not to do when you're putting in tags. Right here, internal CSS. This is a great example of how to set things up. We put up styles. You'll notice here that, by the way, I'll pull this up for you so you can see it. You'll see how this is set up. You'll notice that they do curly base, background color, colon, powder blue, and they didn't space it out. You'll notice that I have it spaced out. That's a convention. I just want you to realize that. That's a convention. I do it like this, but they sometimes will line it up like this, where it's all in one line. Both are legal. This is the same as this. This information is the same as this information. I just suggest you do it this way, and I'm going to expect you to do it this way because it's easier to edit it. If I wanted to give the background color powder, if I wanted to say the H1, which is going to be blue, right? If I also wanted to say text align colon right, and then I hit run, it throws my text alignment over to the right side of the page. But if I have to edit it, it's easier to find the right. And if I wanted to say center, I could change it to center and hit run. And that's another thing you can do. While you're working on your code, if you want to practice your code in here because it's a little bit easier than coding rooms, you certainly can. The Try It Now is another viable place. It's just that you have to be able to submit your stuff in coding rooms, and that's the big trick. So those are how you're going to do your internal styles. Make sure I see an internal style sheet with 5 style commands. I have some helpful links, the style page in W3 Schools, how to write CSS commands, HTML reference, and of course, mrtush.com. All of these things, styles, syntax, how to put things in, this is kind of how to, and the HTML reference for all of the caption, all of the tags that are there, including all the different types of colors you can use and other things that you can use like fonts and such. All of this is how you can experiment with new tags. I will not teach you every single tag there is. I will teach you as many ways to use tags as you need, and then developing your own vocabulary of tags is just a matter of using them and reusing them and discovering them as you need them. I need to do this with my web page. Go find the code that does that and learn to use it. It's as needed. So I hope that helps. Best of luck.